In this video, I'm going to give you 8 key factors to consider when choosing between a cloud ERP versus an on-premise ERP. The first parameter that we'll be considering is the cost. When it comes to cost, an on-premise ERP solution requires an upfront initial investment to be made, which is quite considerable in nature. The cost is incurred towards license cost, infrastructure cost, networking cost, and so on. And we call this cost as a capital expenditure or CapEx. So, an on-premise ERP solution is more of a CapEx or capital expenditure. On the other hand, a cloud ERP solution requires a minimal cost to get started off because you don't have to pay any upfront charges on licenses or on server or on networking, because all of this is provided by the vendor. The second parameter to consider is TCO, total cost of ownership. I have explained in my past videos and in multiple videos that an ERP cost should never be looked at as a one-time expense or never looked at in isolation. You will have to look at it over a period of 5 years as a recurring cost. The initial cost of investment is comparatively low in a cloud-based ERP solution as compared to the on-premise ERP solution. But what happens over a period of 3.5 to 5 years time span is both of these costs basically merges, and after the 4th year, the cost of ownership for an on-premise ERP solution basically starts going down, or stabilizing, whereas the cost of an cloud ERP solution keeps climbing up. Now, let's look at point number 3, data security. Data security is of great importance for every business, because when we're talking about data, we're talking about financial data of a company, we're talking about proprietary informations, we're talking about manufacturing informations, we're talking about process informations. Now, these are informations which go into an ERP, and all business are really concerned about having their data on a vendor's platform, and this becomes a critical point to be considered when making your choice. With an on-premise ERP system, since you have your own licenses paid upfront, your own infrastructure, server and networking, all your data is located on your premise, and so you are in control of your data. On the other hand, when you opt for a cloud-based ERP solution, you will have to rely on the terms and conditions of the cloud ERP solution provider as far as the data's security is concerned. You literally have to leave your data security in the hands of a third party or a solution provider. Even though a cloud ERP company tries to provide as much comfort as possible in terms of the security that they follow and the protocols that they have for maintaining your data, many studies show that business are not at a peaceful state of mind when they have their data, especially proprietary informations, stored in a vendor's operating platform. The fourth parameter to consider when it comes to choosing between a cloud or an on-premise ERP solution is the ability to customize the ERP solution. Not all businesses have similar requirements. There are businesses which might have very bespoke processes, very unique processes, and the off-the-shelf ERP features and functionalities might not cater to the business process requirements. In such case, what happens is customization becomes inevitable. The fifth parameter for considering between a cloud versus an on-premise ERP solution is integrations. By integration, we would mean that if an ERP solution basically requires to be integrated to any third-party application, might it be a machine or might it be a third-party software from where the data has to come into an ERP and go out of ERP to those respective solutions, then we would call this as an integration. If there is any requirement of this sort, then definitely it's easy to do this, or it's more viable to do this in an on-premise solution as compared to an cloud ERP solution. The reason is one and the same as we discussed in the customization. On-premise solution being catered on your premise and tailored and configured to your requirement makes sure that the integration is operated to your system. Whereas when it comes to a cloud, it definitely has its disadvantages because it's a common platform used by multiple people, and that's the reason why integration becomes complex, especially the type of integration that I am talking about. This is about third-party solutions and third-party machines which needs to be integrated to the ERP. The sixth parameter to consider is implementation and deployment. Now, when it comes to an on-premise ERP solution, installation of the software and then installation of the server and having them work perfectly, networking them with the client system is all something that has to be done by a business. So it's a time-consuming process, and in an effort to do this, business definitely has a cost for it. Not only cost, there is a minimum capability and capacity and competency required to do this work, just not to do it one time, but also required to maintain it for an entire span of time when the ERP is operating. Whereas, on the other hand, a cloud ERP solution doesn't require you to manage the licenses or install them on a server, manage the server, and manage your networking. All it requires you to do is pay the subscription fee, get the credentials, log in, and start using. So the deployment time or the implementation time is very, very, very minimal when it is a cloud ERP. And that definitely, when turns out to be on the cost, saves you a lot of money. Parameter number 7 is upgrades and updates. Now, when it comes to an on-premise solution, upgrades and updates are intimated to the end user or to the business by the solution provider, and this has to be manually done. Most probably what happens is you need to have different environment for your production, for your quality, and for your development. So the upgrades and updates are basically deployed and tested in a development environment or test environment, and if everything is fine, then finally you move it to the production environment. So it's a time-consuming job. Not only time-consuming, it requires a certain capability and resource in-house to do this particular activity. On the other hand, a cloud ERP solution basically manages upgrades and updates very smoothly because it is centrally done at one place by the solution provider itself. So the upgrades and updates are easy to do as well as are pretty seamless and happens on time. So you will find this pretty much all over the world, that a cloud ERP solution user is always working on an upgraded and updated solution, whereas 5 out of every 10 customers who are using an on-premise solution will not be working on an upgraded solution. Because on-premise, what happens is the upgrade is done only and when it becomes necessary. The 8th and the last parameter is maintenance. So when it comes to maintenance, an on-premise solution definitely requires, as discussed in other points, capability, capacity, and competency in-house to maintain the server, maintain the network, and the solution. So there's a cost associated in maintaining an on-premise ERP solution. On the other hand, when it comes to a cloud-based ERP solution, the maintenance cost is very, very less because there's absolutely no networking requirement or infrastructure requirement or upgrade and update management requirements. So the maintenance cost generally requires pretty less in terms of cloud ERP system. Thanks once again